What happens when a rugby protege is thrust into the spotlight too soon? What if his moment came not just too early, but before the rugby world knew what to do with him? Isiah Toeava's journey from a teenage sensation to a player battling injuries, positional uncertainty, and fan skepticism is a story of immense talent, imperfect timing, and relentless perseverance. Born in Motu Otua, Samoa in 1986, Toeava moved to New Zealand in 1994 at the age of 8, joining his grandmother in South Auckland. From a young age, he showed rare athleticism and ball skills, and it wasn't long before his rugby potential started to shine. He attended De La Salle College, a school known for producing sporting talent, and Toeava was no exception. Quick on his feet, intelligent with ball in hand, and humble off the pitch, he began making waves in local and school competitions. By 2005, he had already made a name for himself in the junior rugby scene. That same year, he led the New Zealand under-19 side to a victory at the IRB World Championships and was named in the IRB Under-19's Player of the Year. It was clear Toeava wasn't just a rising star. He was a player who might redefine what it meant to be a utility back in the modern era. Then came the shock selection that stunned fans and pundits alike. In November 2005, at just 19 years old, with only one provincial cap for Auckland and no Super Rugby experience, Toeava was named in the All Black squad for the end-of-year Grand Slam tour of the Northern Hemisphere. To many, it seemed premature, but to Graham Henry and his coaching staff, it was a strategic investment in raw potential. Toeava made his debut off the bench against Scotland, and though it was a relatively quiet introduction to Test rugby, the stage had been set. A new All Black era was supposedly underway, and Toeava was seen as the blueprint. What followed, however, was far from linear. Toeava's versatility, once viewed as his greatest asset, became a double-edged sword. He was capable of playing fullback, centre, wing, and first 5'8". Coaches appreciated his adaptability, especially in an era when bench spots were limited and multi-role players added value. But the constant positional shifts also made it difficult for him to build consistency in any one of those roles. He was often used to plug gaps in the lineup rather than developed as a long-term strategy in a specific jersey. In many ways, Toeava became rugby's ultimate what-if player. What if he had been allowed to focus solely on centre, where his vision and acceleration were best suited? What if he had come through an era where player development was more individualised? What if the public hadn't turned on him so quickly? Injuries sadly became the next defining chapter. Toeava's career was repeatedly disrupted by physical setbacks. Between 2006 and 2011, he underwent multiple surgeries, including on his hips and shoulders. In 2011, while playing for the Blues in Super Rugby, an old stress fracture in his hip resurfaced, cutting his season short just as he was gathering momentum. Then, in early 2012, scans revealed he had unhealed stress fractures in his right hip, forcing him to undergo another lengthy recovery. These weren't just minor niggles. Toeava's hips problems were so severe that he later admitted to fearing he wouldn't be able to walk properly by the time he turned 50. "I played through the pain, but I always knew something was wrong," he told the New Zealand Herald years later. "The pain became normal. That's the life of a rugby player. But I just wish I had been a bit smarter with my body earlier." Yet, despite these obstacles, Toeava never gave up. He continued to return to the field, sometimes diminished physically, but always mentally tough. And despite playing through the pain, he often impressed. In 2007, he was nominated for the Rebel Sports Super 14 Player of the Year at the Steinlager Rugby Awards, showing his value in the Blues jersey. That same year, he was selected for the All Blacks Rugby World Cup squad in France. Although New Zealand had a disappointing campaign, Toeava gained more experience on the world stage and showed flashes of brilliance when trusted with minutes. Critics, however, weren't always kind. Toeava was often the scapegoat when things didn't go right. He was labelled overrated by some, too green by others. His selection was seen as a symbolic of the All Blacks' obsession with potential over form. And because he never nailed down a starting spot on the national side, fans began to question whether he should have been in there in the first place. But those close to the game knew the truth. Toeava's skill set was rare. His offloading game, his footwork, his ability to glide through defenders, all of it was world class. What he lacked wasn't ability, it was stability. Eventually, the toll became too much. In 2012, Toeava left New Zealand Rugby, signing a contract in Japan with Cannon Eagles. It was a quiet exit for someone who had once been considered the next great All Blacks back utility. But it gave him a fresh start and a chance to escape the intense scrutiny of the New Zealand media and public. Japan suited him. The pace of the game was still high, but the physicality was less punishing. He also got the opportunity to play more regularly in set positions. After a stint with the Kubota Spears, he made another bold move, joining French 14 powerhouse Clermont-Auvergne in 2016. This chapter in France proved to be a renaissance of sorts. Toeava quickly became a fan favourite in Clermont. The French appreciated his flair, his work ethic, and his humble demeanour. In 2017, he helped the club win the Top 14 title, a crowning achievement that came more than a decade after his first cap for the All Blacks. It was validation at last that Toeava could shine when given trust and consistency. But even this redemption arc wasn't without setbacks. In 2018, he ruptured his rotator cuff, a painful injury that kept him out for 6 months. Again, the injury bug returned. Again, Toeava had to claw his way back. And once again, he did. His final years in France saw him play for Toulon and then Bayonne, where they remained a respected veteran voice and a mentor to younger players. He eventually retired from professional rugby, bringing an end to a career that spanned nearly 2 decades and saw him play in New Zealand, Japan, and Europe. Today, Toeava is remembered not just for what he did, but for what he could have done. And while that may seem unfair, it also speaks to the high expectations placed on him from such a young age. Few players carry that burden well, especially those who enter the test arena before their 20th birthday. He finished his All Blacks career with 36 caps and 8 tries. He was part of the 2011 World Cup winning squad, even though he didn't play in the final. He wore the black jersey proudly and gave everything he had when fit. And more importantly, he never made excuses. Toeava's reflection on his career are filled with humility and perspective. He doesn't blame coaches or fans. He acknowledges his body didn't always cooperate, and that maybe he wasn't ready for the attention he received early on. He's proud of what he's achieved, and so he should be. Ever wanted to create your own rugby highlights channel just like this one? With my course, the YouTube Creator Toolkit, I show you exactly how I do it, from the tools I use to the templates I built. You get everything. Just copy, paste, and start creating. Learn how to grow your channel, keep viewers hooked, and turn views into income. Click the link in the description below to learn more and start your channel today. Now back to the video. Was Isiah Toeava a victim of circumstance, or did the rugby world simply not know how to use him? Maybe it's both. Maybe he was ahead of his time, a hybrid player in an era that wasn't quite ready for hybrids. Maybe his injuries robbed us of all seeing his full potential. But what's undeniable in this, Toeava's career was built on courage. It was built on comebacks, on perseverance, and enduring criticism and still getting back up. He never asked for the limelight, but he handled it with grace. In the end, Isiah Toeava may not have become a superstar many predicted, but he became something far more inspiring. A rugby player who kept fighting, kept evolving, and never stopped loving the game, even when it didn't always love him back. If you found this deep dive into the career of Isiah Toeava's insightful, make sure to like this video, share it with your rugby mates, and hit that subscribe button for more powerful stories from the world of rugby. Thanks guys, and see you next time.